Hey everybody, this is Jackie from ESLSpeaking.org. So today I'm going to give you my top 10 tips for the IELTS speaking exam. I know of course you want to get a band 9, everybody does, but it's actually quite difficult unless you're a native English speaker. Anyway, don't worry about it, you often won't need a 9. I can't even think of anything that requires you to get a 9. So just put that out of your mind. Instead, I'm going to help you get a band 7 or 8, which is sufficient for immigration, educational things, job things, all those things. A band 7, no problem. You can almost do anything you want to do that requires an English exam. So my top 10 tips. Number 1, don't be afraid to show your personality. You don't have to be very boring. This is just it's not informal, but it's about informal topics. So you're talking about your home or your work life or your school stuff, and you can tell a joke or say something funny or tell a very quick little story about something kind of funny or interesting. Don't worry about it. You don't have to talk super formally using very formal language. Yeah, just relax. That leads me into my next one. Relax and slow down. You don't get bonus points for speaking quickly. You have to speak at a medium pace. But if you're talking like this and you just keep going and going and not stopping, you won't get bonus points. The examiner will actually maybe score you at a lower band level because they aren't able to have a conversation with you. So think of this as a conversation between you and the examiner. So slow down, say something, pause, wait for the examiner to ask you a question. That's their job, to keep the conversation going. You don't have to feel that pressure to just keep talking and to fill up every little second. Number 3, if you didn't understand the question that the examiner asked, that's no problem. Just say, "Can you repeat the question, please?" You won't lose any points for doing this. Also, if you don't understand a word in a question, you could say, "Oh, what's employment?" And the examiner would say, "Oh, job." You don't lose points for asking, but you have to ask specifically, "What's employment?" Then they can say, "Oh, it's your job." And then it's no problem. You don't lose points. So don't be afraid about that. Next one, stay on topic. So in the first section, fluency and coherence, if you just start talking and talking and talking about this topic, the next topic, the next topic, on and on about a million things, you won't do well. So the examiner will ask you a question, answer the question, give 1 or 2 details, and then stop. You don't need to keep talking. I hope you understand. I hope you believe me about that. It's very important. So don't keep talking. All right, next one. If you make a mistake, don't correct it. Don't go back in time. Because if you make a grammar mistake or a vocabulary mistake, you'll lose points in those sections. But if you go back and correct it, you'll lose points in the fluency and coherence section because you are repeating yourself. So if you make a mistake, it's already finished. Just move on. Forget about it. Don't worry about correcting it. It's not the time in this exam. And you will actually lose more points for repeating yourself if you do that. All right, this is super important. Never memorize anything for the IELTS speaking exam. Never. There are some common questions that are asked, but they get changed, I think, every 6 months. So it's actually impossible to memorize anything for this exam. You actually have to speak English. It's a test of your English speaking ability, not of your memorization ability. If the examiner thinks that you are memorizing things and just speaking from memory about questions, you will score very, very low, like a band 3 or 4. 1 is the lowest and 9 is the highest. So trust me, it's not even worth it. You won't do well on this exam if you memorize things. All right, and then when you are talking, be sure to give an answer and then give 1 or 2 details. The worst thing is if the examiner says, "What's your job?" Teacher. "Oh, do you enjoy your job?" No. "So do you plan to teach in the future?" No. You're going to get a very low score. So answer the question, "Oh yes, I'm a teacher. I teach in an elementary school." "Do you enjoy your job?" "Oh yes, I really like teaching children and I enjoy teaching math." "Do you plan to do this job in the future?" Maybe. I'm not sure yet. I may go back to school and study science. Whatever. So just say your answer and then 1 or 2 details. If you want to get the highest scores on this exam, you'll need to use idioms and expressions. This is for the lexical resource section, the second section, or the second grading section on this exam. So study idioms, study expressions, study phrasal verbs. You need them in order to score a band 7 or higher on this exam. Without them, it's actually impossible to get those highest scores. Next one, use a variety of grammatical structures. So strive to use simple grammar perfectly, but then besides that, use things like conditionals, like if, relative clauses, who, which, that, etc. You want to use these more complicated grammatical structures in order to get the highest scores, like the 7, 8, 9 band scores. All right, next one. Practice the format of this exam. It's more than just talking. There's specific questions and specific structures that you have to follow, and it's very precise in terms of like timing, what questions are asked, how they're asked, etc. So check out YouTube or check out my website, I'll put the link below, for sample IELTS speaking exams. Have a look and practice yourself. Just get kind of a feeling for how long the answers are and how many details to give. And then in the second section, you have to make a speech that's 1 to 2 minutes long. So definitely practice that and kind of get an idea of how much information you need to include. You'll get bonus or kind of extra points if it's very organized and well thought out. So yes, so give that a practice. Those are all my tips for the IELTS speaking exam. I hope you do well. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and tell me your #1 tip for the IELTS speaking exam. And also be sure to check out my book, The IELTS Speaking Vocabulary Builder, on Amazon. Have a look for Jackie Boland. Okay, until next time. Bye everybody. Good luck.